on this Monday night. I have to tell you, I was just really thinking about it over the course, and I still have my thank you, veterans. I'm going to keep this up for another week until Thanksgiving rolls around, and I'll change that backdrop then. But I was just sitting there. If you're really thinking about what we have here, everybody, I mean, I'm just gonna hopefully I'm gonna be talking to a few different folks in here tonight. I'm gonna be asking for their participation as well. And but I have to say, if you think about what we have our hands on right now, this is one of the best. I'm not kidding. This is one of the most incredible compensation plans that exists now in this industry. All we got to do is go out there and just introduce a few people and then find anybody within that line of sponsorship who wants to run. It doesn't even need to be the people that we're personally introducing. We'd love to help the people that we personally introduce, but I'll tell you what, folks, a lot of times what I found is that the person that I personally introduced, and I'm not saying that to anybody in here if we've introduced you personally, but a lot of times what they did is they led us to someone who led us to someone who led us to someone who was really hungry and wanted to run. And that's what it really comes down to is digging. We got to dig down into our teams and make sure that we're out there doing our personal activity, sharing this incredible membership with other people, but we also want to make sure that we're working within our teams to not only go in and help them to build their list, but help them to literally start reaching out to that list and dig. Digging is so powerful, and we'll get into that in another training for another night. But I know that I've got some great leaders on here, and I'm going to be asking them to participate, as I said, and just give me 1 second while I go about doing a couple of things. I did put together some slides, and I want to go through these very quickly before I get to our other leaders in here and our very special guests. But the reason why I did this was I learned this a long time ago, that when we're heading into the holidays, sometimes our activity needs to just shift a little bit in terms of what we're doing, maybe increase the amount of people that we're talking with, but we're getting out and about. And I've learned this from one of the top leadership experts out there who fortunately was coaching us for a long time in one of the companies that I was with and followed us to another company. David Bird, if anybody knows, I know Laura that you've heard of David Bird, and Kathy has, and a few others, but I mean, he was incredible and he taught us this. And I'm just going to go through a few very quick things because we all want to be prepared as we go into the holidays. We don't want to be walking billboards, but we do want to make sure that we're ready in case interest is generated. And I'll tell you what, everybody, there is interest in what we have right now. I mean, just the other day, if you ever, I follow Liberty and Finance on YouTube, and it was just on Friday, it came up, it said the bank runs are starting or something like that. Because what's happening, the end of the year is coming up, and all the banks have to do their final tallies in terms of what they can't sit there and play with the numbers anymore. They've got to sit there and show what they've got. That could literally raise some scares amongst some of the consumers out there. These are things that average people aren't aware of, but they're one of the biggest reasons why people need to know about this membership, is because it is such a really confusing world out there for so many people, and we need to provide that guidance to at least give them a direction of something we know is going to be safe. And I will say this, everybody, we're not experts and we don't go out there claiming to be, but your confidence when you're talking with people and knowing what you have your hands on, you don't have to know everything about it. You just have to be confident and feel that what we have in this membership is a great value when you're sharing it with others, because they're going to see it in your face. Another thing I'll tell you is that sometimes when we get down to the person seeing the information, I know I'm going off topic on a tangent here, but I just need to mention this. When we get to the end, when we're sitting there asking them, are you ready to get started? We lay the entire decision on them in many cases. Do you want to get started? Now, that's a lot of pressure on me if you're talking to me, because what I'm thinking a lot of times is, well, geez, I don't want to make a bad decision. And the only person that maybe who's really thinking this is great is this person in front of me. And I don't know how strong your confidence is being portrayed to me. So in many cases, if you're laying that 100% decision on me, do you want to get this? A lot of times it's probably going to be, I need to think about it, because we don't want to make bad decisions. We don't want to look stupid, and we don't want to go out there and do anything wrong with our money. That's why the three-way calls are so powerful, because they validate. That's why we sit there and we literally have them take it off us and we put them in front of the information. Plus, we also need to understand, everybody, what we're offering to people. This is important for us to understand. When we're getting to the end, we're asking people if they want to get this membership. We're not asking them how they're going to go out investing their gold and silver. that a lot of times people are putting so much pressure on their decision to get a membership because they're trying to figure out how they're going to invest their money. If they want to invest in gold and silver, they're not having to decide that right now. They're having to decide, hey, do I get this membership that's going to give me the education so I make the best decisions on going out there and investing my money? So they're not just all they're doing is making a decision on getting the membership. They're not committing their money one way or another to anything, but we're giving them a good alternative here. And that's why we want to be confident when we're doing that. And the close is so important. I'm going to get some opinions on this from some of these leaders here tonight. Please remind me, Kathy, I see you up in the corner. So please remind me to come back to the close. Okay, because I see Diane out here, and I want to get your opinion. I want to get Kathy's opinion, and then I also want to hear from Kristen, because I know I asked Kristen to come on and share a little bit about what's been happening for her too. And there's other people on here I want to hear from all of you, but I'm going to go through these real quickly, and then I'm going to come back to when we're asking people for the close. So I want to show us the right activity to do. And Diane, Kathy, any other leader out there who sees this and has anything, Danielle, if you want to jump in and share some input on any of these different ideas and how they might have been effective, or ideas that you might have, please feel free to do so, because this is really about a wonderful time of the year to go out sharing the information on 7K. It really is. We just have to know that. But the thing is that a lot of times we have in our mind, well, I don't want to be bothering people. You know, they're already spending too much money. You know, people don't want to buy during the holidays. That is 100% not true. I will tell you that my experience in this industry, this time of year, because people are in the mindset of going out there and buying gifts for other people, this has always been one of the most explosive times of the year in my businesses historically, if you go out there and you apply yourself. Now, if you just kind of throw your hands in the air and say, hey, I'm going to enjoy the holidays, it's probably not going to be an explosive end of the year for you. But you got to remember, all we're doing, everybody, is we're asking people for their time to show them something that truly can impact their lives in a very positive way, especially going into the new year, especially with so many unanswered questions even this year. So it's important that we again, have our smiling faces on, go about having, being in a good attitude, not walking around, dollar's going to die, we're all going to die, not walking around scaring everybody like that, even though we might be having some thoughts in our head that, hey, a little bit concerned about the future. We're not going to go around getting people terrified. People don't want to feel that. People are going to want to participate with us if they enjoy our attitude and they want to feel like we feel. If we're happy and we're enjoying life, they're going to be like, I want to feel like that. I want to feel like that. Confidence and knowing what we have in the future. Okay. So here's a few ideas that I would recommend everybody to do. And again, any leader, please feel free, jump in and add to this. But I think the very first thing that everybody should do is go about rewriting your list and helping others do the same. And I'm telling you, everybody, even people that you've talked to before, put them back on your list. People's circumstances change. Who knows what happened after the election regarding people's circumstances? A lot of people might have just sat there and said, oh, you know what? I'm going to have more money to go out there and do it. Or they might have sat there and seen some of the things like I saw last weekend, something that opens up their eyes. Regardless, 7K is a completely new game right now. Our sharing model is something that anybody can do and anybody can win at. There's no structure involved anymore. And that is amazing. You have no idea I think you do have an idea how much of a headache it is trying to find and identify someone who wants to work, and our entire business structure is based upon that person's desire. Not anymore. Now let's go out there and just find the ones who have the desire. Let's run at the pace that everybody wants to run at and everybody can win. So when we help everybody go out rewriting their list, if they can't come up with names, don't sit there and say, go build a list. I have done that a million times, and the result has been usually no list. And then when I do sit down and help them build a list, unless I have a memory jogger or I encourage them to go through their cell phone, I'll usually get to about 10 names. And then they can't think of other people who they want to put on it. So the idea is really help them build that list. We need to get their mind thinking creatively. And I think right now is the best time to go about rebuilding that. And I'm going to ask any of the other people on here, any of the other leaders that I have mentioned, if you want to jump in and add to this, feel free. And if you don't, just tell me to go ahead.
Hey,
I don't want to put anybody on spot.
Well, I'll just jump in here, Mark, real quick, because I used to let people make a list of their gift giving for the holidays. I'm a jeweler. So you can also take this list. Let's make a list of the people that you need to shop for this holiday season. Let's make a list and let's satisfy that list with an amazing collectible, a bullion coin from this membership, or even maybe a basic membership where they can start having access to their own gold and silver, and then you can transfer member to member. So I encourage people right now to make that list of who they need to shop for Christmas. And we used to call it shop from your seat, not from your feet. Sit down, let's make a list and get your Christmas shopping done. So just throw that out to you, Mark. Back to you.
I agree 100%. And Laura, I see you out there, and I know that you've been out there extremely busy, and I know you've been in this industry before. Is there anything that you've done during the holidays that that's really been productive in your activity? And none of the, I got to tell you, everybody, I want to throw it out because nobody on here knows what I'm going to ask them. This is all completely spontaneous from the heart. So I just want everybody to appreciate that.
So the first year in my last business, which is the company we were both in, I had 3 partners in the whole year. I started in January 2013. I had 3 partners by October that year, and it's a very similar scenario to what I'm dealing with now. I lost my job, and then a couple months later, it was December. But I never stopped talking about what I was doing. I never stopped encouraging those 3 people that signed up with me to talk to their friends. In the last week of December that year, which was 2013, it jumped to like 10 people. And then in the next 3 months after that, it went from like, so 3 people in October to 54 people in business by the springtime before we went to conference. So you just don't stop talking about it. Doesn't matter what month that is, doesn't matter if it's summer, doesn't matter if it's Christmas, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You just need to keep talking about it at the most appropriate times, and it changes based on the season. So I just agree with you that December is like an amazing month, especially when people are looking for also write-offs. Like that's an actual sales tactic for me, is you could get your membership and have a $600 write-off immediately. So before the end of the year.
Excellent point, Laura. And that's just happened just this past year, correct? This past Christmas, last Christmas?
No, like that was my experience in my last company, but this
Oh, in
company, like,
2013. I'm sorry you said that.
yeah,
Yes.
but this is a totally different ball game for me. Remember, I started just to save for myself. I wasn't going to talk to anybody about it, but you know what? As soon as I opened my mouth, and as soon as Tony threw down the challenge at Gold Rush last year, 2023, it exploded. So it's just, it doesn't matter what month it is, just do it. Like talk about it, get in step with what's going on, and it's going to be amazing.
And I remember Laura from the company that she was in, and she just was doing incredibly well. I do remember that during the holidays. And I know you've been doing well over the holidays this year or last year as well. Diane, anything that you want to add? Or are you
What I would like to add to that is as you make your list and so forth, and yes, you should always be talking, but if you're at the Thanksgiving table, that's not the time to be talking about your business. Pique the interest with people privately. You're going to have all these opportunities to have little private conversations. So pique their interest privately rather than being the center of attention and a salesperson at your Thanksgiving table. And if by some chance, maybe Uncle Bob says, "Hey, Kathy, how's your gold and silver business doing?" and kind of throws you a bone so that you can do your thing, right? His heart may be in the right place, but what you need to do is shine that on and say, "Uncle Bob, you wouldn't believe it if I told you. In one of these days, I'll tell you about it. But hey, Cindy, how are you doing with having 3 kids now under the age of 6 at home?" And deflect it to somebody else. Don't broadcast your business at the table, is my point. It may go really south on you. That's kind of like talking
Great point.
politics at the table. Might not
Absolutely.
want that either this year.
There you go. So if you get seated at the kiddie table, you might be a little bit salesy and you might want to tone it down a bit.
Maybe so.
Remember, they got to be 18 to sign up. Okay, so that's great. That's excellent stuff. All great points. So go out there and have fun with this, everybody. Remember, it's in our attitude, but like Diane is saying, you don't want to be the one who's throwing up on people. You want to be listening and then having that private conversation, setting it up for a time later on. You don't want to be sitting there trying to do a presentation while someone's waiting to go get turkey dinner or something like that. It doesn't work. It doesn't fly. It makes you look desperate too. Here's the other thing you want to do too, is get some silver to have in your hands. And this is just basically to have with you. You're not walking around or dropping silver in people's hands just out of nowhere. But if someone asks you what you're doing, I mean, just listen to what Richard Hansen did and how effective he was at not saying a word, but rather letting the metals do the talking for him. They actually experienced the chance to hold silver in their hands. And I got to tell you, that's powerful. The first time that I held silver, it was really like, this is pretty cool. But most people have never held it. The other thing you want to have, in my opinion, is a collectible. Have a nice collectible. Have something that's going to draw attention. And it's going to make people interested. And if you're taking something out, I definitely recommend it. Have it in some protective bubble wrap or a case, so it's not going to scratch up the coin or anything like that, or the outer plastic case. So just having this stuff with you, I mean, you don't have to go out there and plop it out and put it down at the kitchen table or anything like that. I do that sometimes if I'm going out to eat somewhere. You know, you never know. Someone might say, hey, wow, that's pretty cool. I tell you, if you're ever having a sit down in a restaurant and you pull out some coins, I've had waitresses come up and say, wow, where'd you get that? It's unbelievable. So we just have to be out and about. But having the silver available, it stinks if someone sits there and says, well, what is it that you're doing now? And you're like, I didn't bring my silver with me. Well, I'm into silver and gold. Oh, really? So it's not as exciting if you're telling them you're doing something with it, as opposed to you actually being able to drop some silver in their hands. I know Richard Hansen used to bring some gold. I think it was 1/10 ounce gold coins, and he left the whole tube on the plane in the back of a pocket. I know that. That was pretty horrible. But that's one thing you don't want to do. Don't take them out and just leave them laying around, okay? Make sure you get them in a nice, safe place. Don't have any holes in your pockets either, okay? Just a tip. Here's something that Kathy brought up, which I think is an outstanding idea. It's gift wrapping, calling and gift wrapping parties where you get together with your team locally and go out there and get some of these 1/10 ounce round sampler, the little silver samplers that you can get. They're $6 a piece. We get a whole bunch in there. What better gift than to give someone some silver, and maybe even attach it with a vault report that you have. You know, we get all these vault reports, which are really interesting stories if you ever go through them. That's a great thing that you could wrap up, maybe put that silver sampler attached with a piece of tape to the vault report and say, hey, wrap it up. Here's a gift for you. Get together with your team. You're making calls out to people, seeing who might be able to get the 25 exposures in one night, or doing something like that. And while in the meantime, while you're making the calls, you could be over there taking a break to wrap some stuff. It's fun. Have some wine if you like. I'll tell you, we had this once, or I wasn't at it, but I knew a friend of mine. He actually went and blew up a bunch of, you have to make sure you don't have any breakables, but he blew up a bunch of beach balls, and people were just kicking like beach balls around whenever they'd make a contact. So they made it fun. And you can do this via Zoom or whatever, but I'll tell you, take advantage of the community during this time of year, because handing someone a gift, everybody loves a gift. Ah, that's so nice of you. Even if it's nothing special, there's knowledge in that book, and there's also some value in that 1/10 ounce silver round sample. You're giving someone a gift. You're opening their eyes. That's the biggest gift you're giving them. They're understanding now the importance of gold and silver, and now you've also opened their eyes that we have something here. In
I want to
addition,
add to that, Mark.
absolutely.
I want to add to that real quick, Mark. One of the things
Yes.
that we did one year early on in 7K, the first original group of local leaders that I had, we did a holiday party, but at the party, we also made a vision board that they all left with their new vision board. So we were doing it in December. Their vision board was for the following year. And some people had never done a vision board before. And I can tell you this, that group that was here, a lot of the things that I know they put on their vision boards are happening today. So maybe try that too. Might be something fun for your team to do.
I think it's fantastic. Danielle, did you want to add anything about the vision boards you used to do?
Yeah, we use the week between Christmas and New Year's to get together as a team, have a potluck, and everybody brought all their vision. I would supply the vision board, and then everybody brought their nowadays you can do Google Images, right? You can bring that, grab magazines, scissors, glue, and then we just got together, worked on them, and then we shared, which was probably the most powerful part, was everybody taking time to share what was on their vision board. So it was really bringing to life as they were putting it into, using their words, because words are so powerful, about what their life was going to look like. And I will tell you, I have the same story, Diane. One of my vision boards I made, I had put, well, quite a few things have come to happen from my vision boards, but one of them that was really special was I had put Lake Louise, which is up in Canada. I had seen it on the Travel Channel like in the 2000s. Okay. And I was like, I have got to go there. And then my friend shared with me a family photo where she was standing there. And I'm like, I'm going there. And so I had started the company that Laura, we were talking about. It was in that company. And I put it on my vision board. And then wouldn't you know, like 3 years later, Mark and I were standing at Lake Louise. We had stayed at the Fairmont. So that was just so powerful. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. So it's powerful when you do your vision boards.
Yes, I agree. And it was a beautiful area as well. And I remember we went kayaking, and you're looking up on huge mountains on both sides of you. It's really kind of intimidating. It's pretty powerful. Laura was up there, as a matter of fact. That was and we ended up going to
Laura wasn't, Laura, oh, no, that was in, that's right. That's right. Because the reason we went there was because Mark did a leadership training up in, where was it?
Calgary,
Calgary. That was it.
2016.
yes.
She wasn't at Fairmont with us, but she was in Calgary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, yeah, same trip. That's what I was referring to.
sorry.
No, she
Yeah.
wasn't at the hotel with us. We were there by ourselves. Just for clarification. All right, so I called up and I just asked as well. I asked Diane, I asked a couple of people. This is completely spontaneous. I haven't even asked you, Kathy, yet. About this coming Saturday. What you have anything on your plans for this coming Saturday, Kathy?
I'm flexible. Yeah. What you got?
All right. Well, we're gonna do, and it's early for the West Coast, but I'm telling you, it's because we got people getting out and about, including us, to be candid with you. That's our Christmas with our Thanksgiving with Danielle's kids that day. So we want to get it done fairly early because we want to have our dinner or our lunch that we all kind of get together on. So this coming Saturday, though, I would highly encourage you, get your team on here. Beginning at 10 a.m., we're going to do an overview. So this is going to be for guests that you might have. And I know, again, West Coast, it might be a little difficult. Just kind of let those people see some information. Take them through the same process that we've been learning about. And in the meantime, if they're close or they're on the fence, then get them to come into the training, which will hopefully validate it for them and put them over the edge. And that's not too bad. 10:45 is what? It's like almost 8 o'clock in the morning out there almost. So that's not too bad. Anybody can get up at 8 a.m. That's not a bad thing. And one of the people we're going to have speak there is a lady that I asked to jump on here tonight, and that's Kristen. And Kristen has been just having a chance to really see what she's doing, along with some other great leaders, like Lynn is on here from Canada, and Jay is out there as well, and you got Laura and so forth, and other folks. But I asked Kristen real quickly, because we had done a couple of three-way calls, if she wouldn't mind kind of sharing what she had been doing over this past week, because I think you brought, how many people did you bring on recently with your sitting down, Kristen?
I think 3, 4 the last week and a bit. Yeah.
And just from her own personal activity. And I know everybody else out doing their activity, but would you just mind taking the next 5 minutes, or whatever amount of time you'd like, but keep it less than 5 if you can, just for time constraints. Let us know. I have to always put that out there because you never know. And I know you don't go long, but I have to, because I've had other people go on and on and on. So, but that would be great if you wouldn't mind sharing what the experience has been, and really, it was inspiring, because I just am excited to see things happen, and it's going to happen to every one of us on here. So go right ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. I got baby girl here in my arms. This is an awkward time, but I really want to make these trainings work with everyone, because I love them. So what have I been doing? I've been getting more confident in myself. So I've been doing a lot more personal development. Mark, you've been helping me so much with learning the skills. And that's something that I'm trying to remind myself of, is that it's just another skill set. I was a nurse. I learned those skills, did my job well, and now I'm just trying to transfer over into this other profession, which has its own skill set. So I'm kind of trying to learn more of how the process works. So at the beginning, I was really good at, just recruiting, bringing people on because they trusted me and knew me, but I wasn't following the steps of the three-way call. I was doing it all by myself, and it worked for a time being. But lately, I've been really trying to make sure I'm doing the three-way call. So whether I'm using, Laura's been helping me, Mark, you helped me with a few, and I'm really trying to make sure that and I listened to when you said talk less, don't share everything right away, just keep it really minimal and get them on that call. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's, significantly different in helping people with their belief and wanting to come on. We did 2 calls and they signed on right after the call. So you had logged off and then I helped them enroll right on the spot. So the three-way calls have been really great in following that system. And that's really all I've been doing. And I know there's like 5 beliefs in the industry. And I'm probably not going to get them all right now, but belief in the product, belief in the company, belief in the industry itself, and belief in ourselves. And so I've been trying to figure out where my gaps are in what I've been doing, because for years I've watched people in network marketing and I've thought, oh, that's great for them. Like they must have, they're just really good at it. Even people you think, oh, they're really charismatic or they have this, that's why they're excelling so well. And reminding myself that no, it's just that belief in all the things that we're doing. And I definitely have belief in the product, in the company, in what we're doing, in the messaging. And so the last piece was just making sure I believe more in myself and that I can do this and I will do this. So the confidence piece. So I guess that's kind of what I've been doing the last little bit, and just being a lot more bolder and confident and following the steps.
Well, that's fantastic stuff. And I was so appreciative up there. You put together a great event up in Canada. And, I was with Jay and Lynn, and they took me out to go up to the top of the CN Tower. And that was amazing. And then we got a chance to see Laura there, and just a great group. Here's the best thing, everybody, that I want to applaud them for, is that they're out there working together as one. They're not going out there thinking, okay, well, this is my team, or this is, they're thinking with a mindset of abundance, and everybody works as a family. And that we have a great big family here, and every one of us can win. So if you go out and you have a bad day, don't worry about it. We've all had a bad day. Maybe call us up and, get it off your chest and let us pick you back up, and we'll tell you some of our horror stories that we've had happen, because I'll tell you can write a book on some of the experiences that you have meeting with people in this industry, good and bad, mostly for the good, but occasionally you'll find some stories that are just like, holy cow, I can't even believe people like this exist. And that's saying that with all due respect. It's very, very rare you'll find that. But you'll always have your skeptics, everybody. You'll always have sometimes your dream stealers, and you have to watch out for them, because those are the people that will be your friend, and there's nothing wrong with that. We love them, but they also don't want you to be hurt. They don't want you to leave the nest. They don't want you to really think outside the box. They want you to stay comfortable. They want you to stay right here, because if you change, all of a sudden their life might change too. And I understand, because there's been a lot of people in the past who put their hopes and dreams into something, and then they've had those dreams dashed. And we always want to be protective of people. That's why you'll have people who won't even look at this sometime, and they'll give you their opinions on it. And their opinions oftentimes have no validity at all, but because they say it with confidence, you believe it. And they have no idea what they're even talking about. I've seen that a million times, and it's funny. For one quick story is I remember I was with another company a long time ago, and I was at Applebee's, and I'm meeting one of my brand new associates who has a guest coming. And I've been doing this business now at that time for a long time, and I'm running the area, so I know this stuff cold. And he invites me in, and I'm not pretending. He didn't edify me. That was a big lesson right there. He didn't say this guy knows what he's talking about. So this guy came in all ego. And I just sat there and I started talking to him, and he goes, let me tell you how your comp plan works. I'm like, okay, I'd love to hear this. So I listened to him explain how the comp plan works, and I will tell you, he is so off base. He has no clue what he's talking about. But my new associate is listening, and he's like, really? Wow, I didn't know that. And all this guy had no idea what he's talking about. And my new associate, because he was so vulnerable, maybe wasn't plugged into all the regular trainings like you all are. He was vulnerable. He listened to this IP, an ignorant person with posture. It's a term I've come up with. Okay. So he was listening to this, and there's a lot of them out there. I'll tell you what, they're all over the place. A lot of them in government, I'll tell you. But I'll tell you, so we're listening to this guy, and he's stealing the dream. And all because the guy had no idea what he's talking about, but he acted like he did. And so you got to watch out for him. You've got here a community that's going to have your back. And I'll tell you, this is one of the best things right now with this compensation plan. We go out there, we share this membership, we get instant gold, plus we get points within a compensation plan that can pay us up to $75,000 a week. Now, some people are like, oh, it's ridiculous. Maybe it's ridiculous for us, but someone you might introduce it to, who introduces it to someone, who introduces it to someone, doesn't see it as ridiculous. And they go out and they build themselves a huge monster business, and you get every point from it because you just simply went out there and planted that seed, and it led to the right fruit. It's out there, everybody. You just got to keep planting the seed, and it's going to eventually come across fertile ground. And it may not be the one that you introduce, but if you help them build that list, you help them dig. Hey, listen, let's call up and reach out to some people. If I'm calling out for Kathy, for example, I might call and say, hey, listen, if I'm calling, for example, let's say I'm working with Roxy and we're calling Kathy, and she doesn't dare to make the call. I might say, hey, listen, Kathy, listen, this is Mark. You don't know me. My name is Mark. We have a mutual friend in Roxy. And I just shared with her some information on a program that's helping her with gold and silver and being able to protect against the inflation. And she thought you might be interested in at least watching a 2-minute video to learn about it. If I send you a 2-minute video, could you look at it for her? No. They say that, let them go. You don't want them anyway. But who's going to say no? Yeah, send it over. So now you send it over, and what's going to happen? They're going to watch the 2-minute video, and there's one of your 25, right? And who knows? Maybe they're going to say, wow, this is curious. Tell me more. Oh, great. Here's a 9-minute video. Or sit down and watch it with them. And when you do, there's another point towards the 25, towards the coin. So, I mean, let's just go out there and plant the seeds. That's it. It will eventually come across fertile ground unless you stop planting. You got to plant the seeds. And then you got to help your people go out there and do it. Never let them give up on themselves. Never let them give up. I believe in every single person on here. You know why? Because there's people out there who don't have any idea, and you know so much more than every one of them. But it's going to come down to your confidence and your belief and your ability to step out and just say something to them. And at least let them know, because they're not going to come running up to you. Hey, do you know where I can get some gold and silver? And if they do, that's a heaven sent message from God. That's telling you, you better wake up and get busy here. You want to save some people here. Trying to wake you up. So that's what I would recommend to do. But I said that we were going to talk about the close, and I'll close with that. I think when we're closing, everybody, if you're the person who's bringing someone to the table, I don't close my own prospect. I let that go to the third party person when I put them on a 3-way call. I don't want to be the one answering the questions and closing them, because that's selling. If I'm simply saying, you know what, that's a great question. Let me do this before I get to it. Let me introduce you to one of the top people that I'm very fortunate to be able to be partnered with. This person knows all this stuff. They're doing great. They love to help people. And you know what? They're a lot of fun. Let me see if I get a minute of their time. You need to hear their story. Let me see if I can get a minute of their time. Hang on. I just covered all 4 personality types in that edification. And I also I did it in less than 15 seconds. And now I'm getting them over to the other person. Okay. And I'm not asking permission. Listen, let me get them on. Okay, fair enough. I might say fair enough to get confirmation, but I'm just doing it. You're going to talk to, you got to hear this person. You got to hear this person's story. Oh, you got to hear the story. Okay, now I connect them on the story. Kathy, listen, I have on the phone with me, I have Roxy. She had a chance to watch the 9-minute video. She really loves the idea of the Sound Money wallet, and she works as her background. And I'm sorry, Roxy, I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's what I would say. Her name, her background, what she saw, what she liked. Then I hand it over and I shut up and I put my phone on mute and I take notes and I don't say another word. And then what will happen in many cases, Kathy will close Roxy for me. And that's the way we do it in many cases. I will close your prospect for you. Are you ready to get started? Do you see an opportunity to get started? Which membership do you feel is best for you? Listen, let me tell you about Diane. Diane is one of the best people you could be partnered with. I'm going to tell you this. Diane knows all the answers to everything that I'm saying on here. If Diane was introducing a new prospect, she'd be sitting there doing the same method by putting me on the phone, for example, having me answer the prospect's questions as she sits there and says nothing. She doesn't jump in and gang up on the prospect. She hands it over to me and she shows a duplicable system that I could do as a brand new person as I watch Diane. Oh, all I have to do is what Diane did. I can do that. It's simple and it duplicates. But you still got to have the confidence. Even if it gets off the three-way call, I'm still going to have confidence in asking for the sale. We have to ask them for the sale. And one of the ways that I always recommend, and I'll tell you what, everybody, I don't care which membership they start with. If they're hedging, have them start low. They can always upgrade and we'll get the gold and we'll get the points later. Okay. But start them wherever they're like. But I would say this, let me make a suggestion. Because I was saying before, we're not going to say, if we sit there and say, you want to get started, too much pressure on me. But if I sit there and you're coming up to me and I'm talking to Diane, for example, we just showed her the info and I'm ready for her to get started. Listen, Diane, so let's say I put Diane on the phone with Kathy. Kathy says, you ready to get started or something like that? And she goes, well, let me think about it. I'm going to ask Mark a couple more questions. Okay, great. Kathy edifies me. We hang up. Diane maybe asked me a couple of questions. Well, how are you doing it? Well, we got started a couple months ago. Pretty excited. Love it. Well, geez, let me think about it a bit. What do you think, Mark? Is this something you really think? Let me make a suggestion, Diane. Get started, whatever you can afford. I'm going to continue to build this. You can benefit from my efforts, but I would recommend get yourself a position and let's go. And that shows confidence. It doesn't show, well, I don't know. What do you think? You do that, you're going to have everybody's trying to figure everything out. You got to show confidence. Yes, I think it's a great decision for you to do this. What are they making a decision on? They're getting a membership that if they use it, the value is absolutely going to be there. And they're able to get education, access to gold and silver, access to collectibles. We know the dollar is dropping in value. We know this is going up in value. How does anybody lose? I'm absolutely believing everybody should get this. I'm not pushing it. I'm not sitting there, well, I don't want it. No, come on. Give me your card. Give me your credit card. Just give me a card. I'm not doing that crap. If they got it, everybody who wants it has volunteered to get it. And we'll help them to see the value because that's who sticks. All right. I rambled on a lot. And anything that you leaders, anything on here would like to say about the close, we're going to wrap it up in 5 minutes. So anything anybody wants to jump in here and share?
I'll throw something in.
Diane, jump in.
I'll throw something in. Okay, so the best way of thinking about closing, there's two pieces to it. There's emotion and logic. You have to find out where you can touch them on an emotional basis, right? Which is the discovery process. When you're asking questions and you're listening to the answer, you're discovering the reason why they would benefit from a 7K membership. Then you have to take that as the emotional piece and connect it to the fact that this is a very logical solution to whatever that situation is. So it's the emotional piece first, and then you follow it up with the logic that what we're doing here solves that situation. So that being said, let's grab a membership and get you started. That's how I close. I figure out what it is that's their hot button. If it's their grandkids, they don't get to see them. If it's working too many hours, they don't get to be with their families. So I figure out what that is, and then I offer that solution. And with my help, I think we could maybe help you with that situation where you don't have to work so many hours outside of your house, where you can actually put some of that effort towards your own self, your own business, your own earnings, and your own family. And again, like Mark was saying too, these guys that are trying to steal your dreams, you just have to chalk those people up to the fact that they don't know what they don't know. And next, leave those people in the weeds, right? You don't need them in your business. You'll get your tribe to surround you. I promise you, you will. But find something that really they connect to on an emotional level. You know, I had one lady just recently that the biggest connection for her was the healthcare. She needed healthcare for her and her husband in a bad way and couldn't get it elsewhere, right? Had pre-existing conditions and all that jazz. That was her hot button, right? That's what put her in the business, not gold and silver. that'll be the byproduct of it. But the healthcare was what really snapped her into play. So think about that when you're talking to people, figure out what makes them tick.
I agree 100%. I've had people that look at the savings that we saved on a trip. They say, you get this along with that because the 7K advantage. And that was a big one. That was based on a post we put up on Facebook. We were in Vegas. Danielle and I were in Vegas. It's mind blowing. And we got this place at the Virgin Hotel, ceiling to floor windows overlooking the strip. So when the strip starts lighting up, you can watch the thing. We actually have a time lapse video of the strip lighting up, which is pretty cool. And so we had this nice room, and it's a corner room like this. And the bucket of beer at the pool was $45, and with our 7K advantage, the room was 40. So our room was cheaper than a bucket of beer. That's the way we put it on. That was pretty cool.
I have a question for you, Mark.
Yes.
And maybe Diane can help with this as well on flows. There are many ways that you can perhaps get people to tell you where they stand. Something that happened just recently that was pretty effective with me, and it may not be the standard or the thing to do for everybody, but just let me know, what do you think about asking somebody a question like, I would get a membership with 7K right now and let them fill in the blank. Maybe they could, that way they can really tell you what's on their mind.
I think that's awesome. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. Were you done?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that has been working for me lately. And I said, it just kind of came to me one day. We were just having a conversation with someone who had gone through all of the steps. I like to call it going around the bases. And we'd done all the follow-up and followed up and followed up. And the person, never got to the point to where they seemed like they were ready for a close. And they always put it off for another time. Let's meet at another time. Let's meet at another time. And so it just came up one day, and I said, well, listen, answer this question. Maybe you can fill in the blank. I will get a membership with 7K right now and then had them to fill in the blank, and I could tell right off exactly what they needed.
I think that's awesome, Aaron. And I would tell you, you combine that with Diane's then turning around and say, well, you know what, we can help you, and I recommend get a membership, that confidence there. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Anything that you can do, I love that, because you're getting them to talk, and it's not you. That's the key, everybody. We don't have the magic words. Somebody be like, well, what do you say? What's the magic words? It's not. You listen, and then you fill a need. And if we can do that, and they start using this, get some gold in their hands, get them to actually experience getting it. Don't have them just all keep it in the Sound Money wallet if you can. Get your people to get their hands on some physical metals, not just the collectibles either. Have them physically get something in their hands. It's really powerful. One of the things we actually got this, Danielle and I are both like, well, I want mine. I want to have one to carry around. So we went out and we got these. These are little 10-ounce little, look at this thing. We got this at a local dealer. And so this is great. I can sit there and hold it in my hand just like that. I've got it with me. So that's pretty cool. But I'll tell you, it's fantastic. Excellent stuff, Aaron. Thank you for sharing that. And I would encourage everybody to utilize that as well. Anything else that anybody wants to add as we wrap up here? I would tell everybody this coming Saturday, get your team to plug into this. It's going to be short and sweet, but the best thing I can recommend is it's giving you a little bit of more inoculation as we go into the holidays. If you don't have that little inoculation, again, people tend to dissipate over the holidays. They're going back, spending time with family. Take that 1-3 hour block to get people to plug into this, keep the fire going, re-energize them. Past Thanksgiving, we'll do another one, probably maybe second week or sometime in December. I'm not saying specifically, so don't quote me on the week. I want to make it work for as many people as we can. I know we have holiday parties, but we can do an online virtual holiday get-together that we can practice with 7K, in which we can all teach people again how to go about building 7K and bless lives over the holidays. And so again, part of the rhythm of our 10 pillars that we've been teaching on, just stay consistent with that, everybody. Once a month. We've got great leaders on here. I'm sorry I didn't have the chance to have everybody else talk, because I know there's some great stories from folks in here. One of the next things I would like to do on one of these, or some future one, is I would really love us to put together for us to record a series of testimonials, of which we can get on here. And if you don't mind doing it on a couple of these Zooms, we can come on, just share our quick stories. Then I'll put together a collage of these videos, because I'll tell you what, we've got the great videos now. They're short and sweet to the point. They cover all the necessary information in a very short period of time. The only thing we don't have are the stories. Facts tell, stories sell. If we can get together a collection of nice, quick, short, bullet point stories of all people, different walks of life, different backgrounds, having success, people relate to that. And this way, it's not just targeting people just getting memberships and falling in love with the membership benefits. We're finding builders. We want to find builders. We want to find people who see this and want to go out there and spread it. And I'll tell you what, even if you're not a builder, act like it. Do the necessary steps like you are, because people are going to want to join people who are plugged into a consistent rhythm. And once they have that rhythm, again, like we said, it will lead to the next person who will find that superstar. The number one income earner in our company has not even joined this company yet. And they're going to be found by somebody. Could be someone on here, might be someone you introduce, who introduces it to someone, who introduces it to someone. That's why it's consistency, okay? Let's go out there and make it a great week, everybody. We have the corporate call coming up at 9:30. We're going to have some great trainers coming up this weekend. I know that Yuri is going to be there this coming weekend. I've already asked himself, and I've asked Diane to be on there, and we'll be having a few others as well. So, and we're going to be having varieties. There are some great leaders on here that, if you're not on this one or the last one, I'm still going to ask you to be on ones in the future. So please don't feel like you're not going to be included, because we want to include you. We want your knowledge and expertise. We just don't have a ton of time. So with that, everybody have a wonderful Monday night. Let's build into the 9:30 Eastern time corporate WebEx. And I appreciate everybody's information. We'll be posting the flyer for the Super Saturday up in 7K Freedom Family. I know Kathy and everybody else can get a hold of it there and send it out. I just haven't made it yet. This was a spontaneous decision just about a couple hours ago. So, but I think it's necessary, and I think it'll work. We're going to get some great stuff this weekend. Okay. All right, everybody. Feel free to open up.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you. See you guys
Thank you,
Saturday.
everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Mark.
Yeah,
you,
great
thank
launch,
you.
Thank you
everybody.
for all the shares. It was great.
Great.
Thank you, Mark.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.